A few people have already spoken about this. I know Lisa Cabrera talked about it. Seiji Hito talked about it. I don't know if True Royal Family got around to talking about it or not. And I know I'm a bit late with this story. But this right here is just going to show more hypocrisy coming from the Blue Lives Matter crew. So in this picture, you see two people. On the left, you see Thomas Kenworthy, and on the right, you see Tamaris Bohannon. And you can just look at the picture right here and tell who was the suspect and who was the victim just by looking. So this guy, Thomas Kenworthy, shot and killed Tamaris Bohannon. And as you can see, he has a uniform on, a cop uniform, and it's not something he brought from Party City as a Halloween costume. He's an actual cop, or was. But this man shot and killed this man, and I believe he also shot a couple of others as well. But Lamestream media is oddly quiet about this, just like the Blue Lives Matter crew, which most of them are in Lamestream media. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why they're so quiet. And I'm going to go ahead and get into this article because not only is Thomas Kenworthy in a world of trouble because of what he did to this man and a couple of others, but apparently there is a lengthy criminal history behind this man as well that I'm sure Lamestream media is quiet about as well. It says, the man accused, and by the way, this article is coming from KMOV. The man accused of shooting two police officers and killing one of them has a lengthy criminal history in Florida and Missouri. Now you got to think of the distance between Florida and Missouri. That's a pretty lengthy drive. Pretty lengthy flight too. Thomas Kenworthy, age 43, a struggling 43, was charged Tuesday with first-degree murder, 3 counts of armed criminal action, assault, burglary, resisting arrest. Ooh, look at that, resisting arrest. The same thing that Palm Killer love to say, well, if you just don't resist, then nothing bad will happen to you. Well, this man resisted and did all of this and killed a cop and shot another one and has a lengthy criminal history, and he's still alive. That's why you cannot take the words of PC seriously when it comes to stuff that happens with us. Because they literally expose themselves as hypocrites every single time. And unlawful use of a firearm. He was arrested Sunday for Saturday shooting and is being held at the St. Louis City Justice Center. Police listed Kenworthy's address as the 1700 block of Lakeshore Drive in Owensville, Missouri. Kenworthy is accused of shooting Officer Tamaris Bohannon and another officer when they were responding to a shooting call in South St. Louis City, police said. Bohannon died from his injuries on Sunday. His criminal history spans decades, don't they all? He reportedly had drug offenses in Missouri in the 1990s. In 2001, he went to prison in Florida for 6 years for aggravated battery with a firearm, shooting at a man in what police called a road rage incident. What have I told you about them road rages in PC? No one has it quite like them. Not saying not any other group has it, but they take that shit to heart. Our agents were of the belief that he was a violent individual, very dangerous, and he would hurt someone if given that chance, and he has proven that true, Todd Goodyear said. He's the public information officer for the Brevard County Sheriff's Office in Florida. I think I just did a story about Brevard County. He was convicted of exposing himself to an undercover officer in Florida in 2009. Then in January this year, he was charged for attempted sexual battery and kidnapping, choking the victim, and attempting a sex act, according to court documents. See, I've always said they'll let them get away with these little quote-unquote minor crimes or what they deem to be minor to them but major for us if we were in the same predicament, until they actually get to that one crime that should and hopefully get them behind bars. Or at the very most, capital punishment. See, if they would have nipped this in the bud early on and realized this guy was just no good, then this officer right here most likely would still be alive. But see, they reworked the laws and jumbled things up like a Picasso, like a bad Picasso painting, to fit and suit their needs. And while investigating that case, police executed a search warrant and found Kenworthy had an arsenal of guns, ammo, and tactical gear like a ballistics vest and drum magazines. According to court documents, he reportedly texted a friend talking about having hundreds of rounds. He was out on bond and had an active warrant for his arrest for failing to appear to court. At some point this month, he made his way from Florida to Missouri, where he had ties. He has a long string of violence back in 1998, and unfortunately, he has not kept in jail on our charges and was allowed to be released and made it to St. Louis. At this time, a motive for shooting the officers is unknown. We know we put our lives on the line every day. We put the badge on and hope it never happens, and in this case it happened to one of our fellow brothers, Goodyear said. Hopefully this will be the last time he sees the light of day. You know what's so crazy about what that last statement he just said about not seeing the light of day? I'm almost certain that the officers before him who have had to be encountered with him over the last couple of decades probably said the same thing, and unfortunately here he still is. But see, it took now for the death of one of their officers for them to actually make a move. But like I said, Lamestream media is not talking about this guy at all, or what he did recently, or his past. This I had to get from the internet, and this is probably just a local news story for those who live in Missouri, which means it's not leaving outside of that state. But if it was one of us who did it, they'll make noise about it. And I'm glad this actually came up, because this reminds me of a story I did back in June, right at the heights of the riots or the uprisings with George Floyd, when you had multiple black people who had shot and killed, or one of them had shot and killed that black security officer who was watching over a particular area. And you had Palm Colored out there saying, why aren't they talking about this? Why aren't they talking about this? These thugs that killed this cop. I said back then they didn't care. They only said it because the person who was killed was black by another black man. So I'm going to pose this question to them. Why aren't y'all talking about this? This is one of your own who killed Blue Life, quote unquote. That Blue Life Matter crap, besides the fact that they piggybacked off of another organization's name, always sound ridiculous to me. Like Blue Lives, like blue isn't even a skin color. You can turn blue if you have hypothermia and maybe near death. But when I think of a blue skin, I'm thinking maybe Mystique from X-Men or Smurf. That's about it. But there's no blue people walking around this planet that I know of. But, you know, you can take your blue off. You can take, and the thing is, blue lives. Like, that could be just about anybody. You can wear a blue shirt, blue jeans, some pair of blue shoes with blue laces, have on blue fingernail, toenail polish, blue hair, blue eyes, eye contacts. But we know, it's like I said, it's just ridiculous. But when I spoke about that incident back then, I actually genuinely was, had concern about it. They, on the other hand, only did it because they tried to make it seem like we don't care. They don't care. They didn't care about that, and they don't care about this. And I bet you they'll bring that up to try to deflect from what just happened here. And to my knowledge, the people who shot and killed that man don't have as nearly as lengthy of a criminal history as this guy. And probably not, because those were young guys. They were in their 20s. This guy's in his 40s and had stuff dating back to the 90s. We're talking about over 2 decades worth of crime that this guy was involved in. And this right here is his biggest crime yet, where he actually murdered someone who happened to be a cop. Now, I'm curious to see what they're actually going to do with this guy. Are they actually going to charge him to the fullest extent? I mean, they already charged him, but will the charges actually stick? Will he actually do jail time, like serious jail time? I'm talking about life sentences without the possibility of parole, because I refuse as a taxpayer to have to keep him comfortable. But we shall see.